Hey guys, welcome to your Week 31 Modern World launch, and we're going to continue to discuss the World War I project that you guys should have started working on. To start off with, I want to give you your first update on the Focus on the Finish challenge. And just so you know, these numbers were updated on Friday, March 23rd at noon. So anything you did after that or over the weekend was not counted into these, and it will be taken into account the next time we do a count. So the first page to look at is that this is the overall score right now. And this is 1 point for focus areas, 2 points for green projects. So it looks like 7th grade had a slight lead with 64 total points, 8th grade with 60, and 9th grade with 56. So it appears like it's very, very close. But I do want to show you guys that we have to take into account how many learners we have in each grade. So this is the actual point total based on points per learner. Because 7th grade has 15 kids, 8th grade, I believe, had 17 kids, and 9th grade has 24 kids. So when we break those numbers down, 7th grade is currently in the lead with 4.57 points per learner. So that is how we will be doing this. So 9th grade, you guys can make a huge comeback, but unfortunately, your class has the most absences and kids that are not working. So Matthew and the people who are working a lot in 9th grade, I suggest trying to reach out to those learners who are not working so much. So there's still 5 weeks left, so there's a lot of time. And we will not be updating the numbers next week. Your next one will be updated on the week 33 launch. So a lot of time to get those numbers up there. Make sure, ask yourself, are you trying your hardest? Or are you doing like this dog? You're saying you're working, but you're like, whatever. If you're not trying your hardest, try to send your instructors a message when you're ready to take an assessment. This is an easy way. You could let us know that you're ready. We have been trying to approve content assessments more frequently, even into the evening. So it wouldn't hurt you to send a message to your learning guide or your instructor and say, hey, can you open this content assessment for me, please? You could reach out to your classmates that are ahead or really succeeding with the class or that have reached out to you. You could also ask how you can turn any yellow or red projects green, because the green ones are the only ones that count towards these numbers. So making sure that you're going back in and reviewing your feedback and trying to make everything green. And also by working every day. So try to work in every single course at least a couple times a week, but there's no excuse to let weeks go by without touching a course. Reminder that we're working on your next project, the final one. It's an art as expression project. And we're basically going to be looking at how art can show the perspective of people who are in war and have responded to emotional and traumatic life experiences. So the first parts of the project are the checkpoint, where we're going to be getting a little bit of background on World War I. And what you're going to do is, after learning some of these, you're going to be creating a mini art exhibit and then recording yourself presenting and explaining the art pieces that you have selected. I want to go over a cognitive skill that you guys are working on right now. For checkpoint 1, this is the first time you're seeing information and explanatory thesis. So I want to explain to you a little bit about a thesis. So the image on the left, you want to first start with a question, and then you make your answer to that question your thesis. So for you guys, you're lucky because the question has already been asked of you. You don't even have to think of that. It's right in checkpoint 1. How did individuals respond to the start of World War I? Then you need to state your thesis statement correctly. So use these tips over here. It should be an assertion, meaning like you're telling me this is how it went. I don't want to see, I think this happened because I think that. You want to take yourself out. You shouldn't be talking I or my. You should be speaking objectively to make sure that you're not putting yourself in the situation. So state it as if it's a fact, and then you're going to provide evidence to make sure that people kind of believe that. So that's your stand. So when I say take a stand, that's you showing your side. You're answering the question, but it's a debatable topic. So somebody could argue the other side of it, and that's the importance in finding the correct evidence to prove your point. I just want to show this real quick video on the difference between a thesis statement and a topic sentence.
We speak student!
Thesis sentence versus topic sentence, a la Schmoke. Some things are very similar and yet not quite the same. Skateboards and surfboards. Workstations and playstations. Network programming and cow pies.
Oh, gross.
If you mistake any of these for their counterpart, you could wind up skating along a tidal wave, wondering why your controller is broken,
This game sucks.
or spending all evening staring mindlessly into a pasture. By the same token, it's important to understand the difference between a thesis sentence and a topic sentence. A thesis is usually 1 or 2 sentences at the end of your introduction that states the main point of the entire essay. Clearly, he's a pretty big deal,
Yeah, I tend to run things around here.
like a huge deal. When he enters a room, we suggest you give up your seat.
Take mine. No, take mine.
The thesis makes a clear, arguable assertion that will be developed in the following paragraphs.
Wow, he is so assertive.
He's sort of like your Uncle Harold, who uses every family gathering as an excuse to make bold claims in front of an involuntarily rapt audience.
Sasquatch, Superman, global warming. Look, just think about it.
However, unlike Uncle Harold, your essay is actually going to substantiate the claims you make. Also, it won't end up passed out in the tuna casserole after dinner. Everything that comes after the thesis should support and relate back to this main sentence. If anything doesn't relate to the thesis, well, then it's probably a tangent and can be cut.
No!
Tangents are fine in geometry. They're not quite so popular in the essay writing world. A strong thesis demonstrates a unique perspective on the topic at hand. It's something that can be debated and is hopefully somewhat interesting. Many people like wearing shoes isn't a great thesis. It may be true, but the New York Post probably isn't going to stop the presses for that one. And now, the guy he often gets confused with, the topic sentence. A topic sentence is sort of a mini thesis. Instead of being the central point of an entire essay, he's really just in charge of previewing the content of his own paragraph. If the thesis is the general,
And
the topic sentences are his lieutenants.
reporting for duty, sir.
Topic sentences make a point in support of the thesis. Remember, everything has to relate back to the big guy, and ideally help to convince the reader to understand where you're coming from. So there you go. A thesis is the head honcho in charge of the whole essay. And the topic sentences are his minions, in charge of making sure that the body paragraphs run smoothly.
Pick up the pace, paragraph 3. Faster, boys, faster.
Don't confuse the two. They hate that.
Please, he wishes he looked this good.
Why I oughta?
I'm not saying cats are from outer space,
Okay,
but I'm
so
not
the big
saying they aren't
takeaway
either.
that the thesis is found at the end of your first paragraph, so the end of that introduction, and it's your overall fact that you are arguing in your essay. Your topic sentences are typically the first sentence of each paragraph that ties back into the thesis. So refer back to this if you need help. Ask me if you're unsure how to create a thesis. As long as that's basically just giving your opinion, but stating it as if it's fact, and then backing it up with that evidence. So again, checkpoint 1 is the start of the World War I. So I do want to just focus on this again. I think we only had a couple people do it so far. So I just want to wait a little bit and see if we get some more response this week. So you're answering that historical question using a thesis. And then don't forget that you need to go down to the bottom here and highlight the language that you believe you've met. So you want to tell me if you think you've done enough to earn a 4, 5, or 6 on this skill. And then also go to that second page. The justification is where you tell me why you feel you deserve that 4, 5, or 6 using the rubric language. So I will return these if you don't do the justification part. So remember to scroll down and do that. Week 31 is going to run from March 28th through April 4th. You should work to master the main causes of World War I. And also, if you're up for a challenge and looking for more focus areas to complete for our focus area challenge, try the Enabling Forces of Imperialism focus project, or focus area. Because one, if you remember from last week, one of the main causes, the I stands for imperialism, so that will help you possibly pass your other focus area and work on that project too. And also, if you haven't, submit checkpoint 1 of the Art as Expression project. Just a couple reminders. This is that throwback to when the Easter Bunny laid out Teddy Roosevelt at a baseball game. So we do have Family Engagement Night coming up on Tuesday, March 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. at CPDLF in Duncansville. And also, school is not required on Friday, March 30th and Monday, April 2nd due to spring or Easter break or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say no school because I don't want to discourage you from working if you want to. I just say it's not required. You will not be punished or be marked absent if you do not work on those days. But we strongly, strongly encourage it, especially if you're somebody who's really far behind. And your reflection for this week, I would like you to comment, what is a thesis statement?